Hello and welcome to Early Childhood Ireland's podcast. Our podcast features interviews and discussions on all issues relating to quality early learning and care, with a range of speakers who are leaders in the areas that matter to Early Childhood Ireland members. I'm Maura Corbett and I work with Early Childhood Ireland. So in this special episode of the podcast, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Leah O'Toole. Leah is Assistant Professor in Early Childhood Education in the Frederick Department of Primary and Early Childhood Education in Maynooth University. She's the Programme Coordinator of the BA in Early Childhood Teaching and Learning, a Level 8 degree delivered in partnership with Early Childhood Ireland. And I suppose we're chatting today because the deadline for the CAO is coming up. So we thought that it would be really good to have a chat with Leah about the background to the course, some of the key areas of content and so on, and some changes to the degree that are happening this year. So Leah, you're really welcome, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the BA.
Thanks, Moira. Great to chat to you.
So, Leah, can you give us a little bit maybe of the background to the course, the entry criteria, what makes this program stand out from the others? I know there's such a strong practice basis to the course. So can you take us through some of those aspects of it, please, Leah?
Yeah, sure, Moira. So the degree originally was developed in partnership between the Frederick Department and Early Childhood Ireland in response to kind of growing demand, I suppose, in the sector for upskilling for practicing educators. And initially it was a 3-year degree, but in recent times, the government, the Department of Children and Department of Education, they developed some guidelines around early childhood degrees, indicating that all of the degrees need to be 4-year degrees. So we have reconfigured our degrees and received a very positive response in throughout that whole system or procedure. And so for now, we have 2 early childhood degrees in Maynooth. One is a full-time degree that started last September. And this year in September 2022, we'll be beginning our new flexible degree. And I think that's probably the one that'll be of most interest to your listeners, Maura, because it's structured around practicing educators. If people have a level 6 qualification, they can apply and are likely to receive an exemption from the first year. So in other words, if you have level 6 qualification, you can complete the degree in just 3 years, even though you come out with the credits for a 4-year degree. One of the other
That's a level 8.
That's a level 8
so
degree.
After 3 years, you have your full level 8.
That's right, yeah. And one of the lovely elements of this new structure in the degree as well is that it's very flexible in that you could graduate after 3rd year with a level 7 degree, or you can go on to 4th year and graduate with your level 8 degree.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that. Was there a level 7 option? So with your full level 6, you could have a level 7 in two additional years, or carry on
exactly
to the 3rd
right.
year. So okay,
yeah. So yeah, just to be clear on it, you'd miss the 1st year because that's covered by your level 6. Then you do 2nd year, and then you do 3rd year, and after 3rd year, you could graduate with your level 7, or you could choose to go on to 4th year and graduate with your level 8.
And what are the kind of attendance criteria? What's required of it's not full-time, sure, it's not, it's part-time and accessible in that way you can carry on working.
That's exactly right. So this degree in particular is really designed and built around those who would be working in the early childhood sector. It's challenging, there's no doubt about it. I mean, a level 7 or level 8 degree is hard work, and there's quite a lot of commitment required. But that said, it's designed to make sure that it can be done by those who are working, maybe who have families, who have other caring commitments, who have other things to keep the show on the road with, it's built in that regard. So the flexible degree will take place over one evening a week, one Saturday a month, and then there's 2 block weeks. And what's really interesting in the new structure is that it's kind of a blended model. So in other words, you have the best of both worlds. You have some online work, but you also get to learn on campus and interact face to face with people as well. There's definitely benefits to both. The online is so flexible in that people can do it from their own front room if they need to. There's no travel involved, and yet the experience of being on campus. Is very important too, and our students would often tell us that they learn more from each other and in their discussions with each other nearly than from the lecturers, although of course I hope they learn something from us too. That kind of sense of communities of practice I think is really important. So anybody who is thinking about applying for it, you could kind of plan around being online in your midweek sessions, and there might be kind of an on-campus session maybe at the beginning and at the end during the week, just to get people started and to finish up. But in general, the one night a week would be online, and then the Saturdays and the block weeks would be on campus.
There is a huge amount. We learned so much about online during COVID, and it
Certainly
helped us realize that there are a lot of things possible online that we might have thought weren't before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that bit about, I did a course myself during COVID, a course that I probably wouldn't have been able to do because it was based in Dublin city centre. But there were certainly times when a lecturer said something, you kind of say, oh, to be in the room to tease that out.
That's it. That's it.
So it's having that blended approach is really good. But, having the online element, particularly for the midweek, makes it more feasible for people who aren't that close to Maynooth to do it. Because
this is it.
Leaving work early, you can finish work at your normal time.
That's
have
it.
a by tweet and log on rather than sit into a car and drive.
Yeah, and like as people are coming into the winter, let's say in November, December, when it's dark and miserable outside, it's nice to be able to kind of engage from home, and yet then the sort of the daytime ones to be on campus. I totally agree with you. I mean, we've really learned so much from our experience over COVID, and working online. We had a very sudden pivot to online learning in Maynooth University, as others did as well. So certainly we've learned a huge amount from that we can then engage students with now. That's been a real benefit to us, working with things like breakout rooms and how to ensure that online provision is still engaging and that there's still opportunities for students to kind of seek support, to feedback, to engage with each other. But I think there's something about being face to face and being together in a room, that really relational piece and getting to know each other. And I think that's something we're very strong on in the Frebble department generally, are those relationships between, let's say, the lecturers and the students, or the students themselves. It's a very relational approach that we take, very much based on Frebble's philosophy of connection, and it's something that means a lot to the department, I think.
And another thing I know that means a lot is that the fact that it's so rooted in practice. I know that that's something that you pride yourselves on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Take us through that aspect of it. That it's blends theory and practice very strongly, and you regard that, I know, as integral to it.
Oh, hugely. Yeah, it's a hugely important part of our program. In huge measure because of this partnership with Early Childhood Ireland. It keeps us very much rooted in practice. We have a placement coordinator who's absolutely networked, who has a long history of engagement and work in the early childhood sector. All of our lecturers and lecturers are very much focused on this theory to practice piece, and it's something actually that our external examiners have noted repeatedly, and that kind of sets us apart from other programs, is how we bring together the theory and the practice. And certainly the feedback we get from our students is that everything we do on the program has relevance for your practice. I suppose I can't emphasize it enough, really, that practice is central to everything we do. There's an expectation of an extensive amount of placement on the degree. 420 hours is required across each academic year. But for those who are practicing educators, so those who would be doing the flexible program, your workplace counts as your placement. Now, there is a requirement to do some additional alternative placement. I think it's 15 hours or so. And the idea behind that is that obviously it's such a diverse sector that it's great to experience, another type of provision. So, for example, if I were working in a baby room, in, I don't know, full daycare, it might be nice to experience a sessional ECHI scheme, so that's the idea behind that. But generally, the majority of the placement happens within the student's own workplace. And yeah, so it's lovely that in each lecture, there'll always be those discussions about how this applies to your practice. There's always an opportunity to tease out any practice dilemmas you might be experiencing. There's always somebody who has had an experience similar to your own to build on. So I always feel like the level of expertise in the room at any one time, as I say, beyond the lectures, what the students bring as well, is hugely important. But yeah, going back to your question, more, I've gone on a tangent there, but really, in answer to your question, practice is really, really central to the program.
Well, the placement bit is integral to the practice, and I do like that there is a requirement to do some placement in another setting. I know that mightn't always be easy to organize, maybe particularly for somebody who's self-employed or room leader or whatever. But I suppose there's that bit that none of us know what we don't know.
That's
it. And what you see from visiting other settings is of immense value.
Yeah,
you've
hugely
mentioned, Leah, what the that the practice component has been commented on by external examiners. Have you what have the students said, past students said? I know we've had past students doing blogs and so on, and they've commented on, yes, that it's been challenging, but immensely worth it. Have you got other anecdotes from former students or even present students? It doesn't have to be former students.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that students really bring up an awful lot is how the program has impacted hugely on their practice. So a lot will say that, that they came in maybe with their level 6, and at the beginning they thought, I have this figured out, and but that they were amazed by the amount of learning that happened that allowed them to really sort of drill into the values in their practice, and what to kind of nearly define for themselves what excellent practice looks like, and kind of challenge their thinking, and then on how that filters down to day-to-day practice. And it's an ongoing thing. I mean, somebody contacted me a while back and who had graduated a good while, and said that something that I'd said to them in a conversation on a practice visit, that it had only clicked with them now, that they really sort of realized, oh, this is what she meant. So the learning doesn't even end just at the end of the degree. That would tend to be what our students would tell us, that it's really an ongoing reflective practice kind of mentality or approach that students gain from the degree. So our students definitely would feedback that their practice is improved immensely by the experience.
I think once you kind of master the art of reflective practice and a focus on values, you can't unlearn that. It's like when I remember somebody saying, it's like you can't unlearn riding a bicycle.
Yeah, it's like you see the world through a different lens or something. And again, like, reflective practice is really central to our program too. So the way the degree is structured is there are 2 kind of larger modules that are the pillars of each year. So every year you do reflective practice and you do professional practice. So obviously professional practice is about placement and focused on practice. And then the reflective practice piece is teaching that mindset and supporting students to really, I suppose, learn how to ride the bike, if that's the analogy that we're using, And then as well as that, there are 6 smaller modules each year, and they can be on everything from play to creativity to social justice to literacy and numeracy and scientific inquiry to curriculum. But each year it's the reflective practice and the professional practice that sort of ties all that learning together. And it is about a mindset, Moira, you're right. It's something that goes with you then out into your practice into the future.
So how do people apply?
How do people apply? Yeah. So if you are a practicing educator and you have level 6 qualification, what you need to do is apply through the advanced entry portal on the CAO. So if you go into the CAO website, there's a little tab that's advanced entry. And I know on the Early Childhood Ireland website, there's a link to the degree and information on the degree. There's also the same on the Maynooth website, or anybody can contact me directly in the Frebel department. So it's frebel.department@mu.ie if you have any difficulty finding it. But basically it's in through the CAO website, find the advanced entry portal, and you should be able to find our degree there. It's the BA in Early Childhood Teaching and Learning, and the code is MH004.
And we have the link direct to that on our social media posts about the degree as well. So people will find the link quite easily. And
we're on Twitter too, actually, Moira, and it's @EarlyBA if anybody is looking for that link.
Okay, so @EarlyBA. So and the deadline is the extended deadline is the 1st of May.
That's right. Extended deadline is the 1st of May. There was an original deadline of the 1st of February, and anybody who has applied up to that, if in case they're wondering about when they'll get a definite response, as soon as we have all the applications in after the 1st of May deadline, we'll be in touch with everybody then.
Okay, so Leah, it nearly makes me want to go back and start a degree all over again. It sounds so exhilarating almost, and
it really is, and
exciting and challenging, and
it's something we're very proud of.
Yeah,
it's something we're very proud of. I'm personally very proud to be associated with it. And, I think another thing that our students would tell us is that coming back as maybe a mature student, a practicing educator, somebody with a family, it can be daunting, and people worry maybe about their IT skills or those kinds of issues. But just for anybody thinking about it, to be aware, there are extensive supports available in Maynooth. So we have a wonderful writing centre for people maybe who haven't done any academic writing in quite a while, or even at all. The Writing Centre is very supportive. Our library is state of the art, and there's lots of supports there around how to use it. There's everything from counselling service to GP to Students' Union, and because we are built around mature students, there's lots of support from each other. So people would say that it's the other students who are experiencing the same thing. They help each other along it. So, if people are worried that they'd be coming back and there'd be like a lot of much younger students, or that, that they maybe wouldn't know where to place themselves, I can offer a lot of reassurance on that. This degree is really built for people in your position.
I think we've come an awfully long way in terms of valuing prior learning and peer learning and so on. Way back when I was a manager, I remember staff doing what was then their the NCVA level 2. So I'm kind of dating myself in that. But they'd go to college in the evening, and they'd maybe finish work at 5. They'd go home. They'd organize dinners, organize homework, and they'd go to college. And if they were quarter of an hour late, they were chastised, like they were, and there was no recognition at all of the effort it took to get there. And I think we've come so far in that, and that, the expertise that they're bringing. I loved that you said about the expertise in the room coming from everybody, not from a lecturer imparting knowledge. So Lee, it's been lovely to talk to you, and thanks for taking us through all of that, and good luck with the final stages of the organizing the cohort for next year.
Great. Thanks, Moira. Thanks so much.